Hey friends, welcome to the Brokerhood. I am your host, Jared, Director of Business Development here at BAI, the premier franchise network in the franchising space. I am super pumped to bring you this conversation today. This is unlike any we've done before. Our guest today, who's has been doing this a long time. We'll dive into his story, kind of how he got to where he is today. We'll unpack all of that. But what's fascinating is, although he's seen some success recently in the last few weeks that I want to unpack, but he's been doing it while also doing something else entirely full-time too. So and I'm gonna let him explain, unpack all that. It's gonna blow your mind how he's balancing all this and doing all this and what it's kind of led to for him. And so we're gonna unpack his entire story. We have on with us Carl Grossman today, who has just been again with BI for a while, been franchise consulting for a while. So you are in for a treat to learn a lot. You're going to receive a ton of value from today's conversation. Whether you are someone who has never thought about franchise consulting, or you've only heard about it and you're kind of curious, or you're doing something else and you thought maybe I could add this on to my current thing, whether it's a business consulting business yourself or some other full-time, maybe you thought about that, or making a big life change as a whole. And I think today you're gonna be able to take a lot away from today's conversation. Make sure you engage. Drop your questions in the chat along the way, and I'll be sure to ask those to Carl in real time. It's the beauty of doing this live is we get to actually have a conversation, not just me and our guests, but with you guys as well. And so make sure you drop those questions in the chat along the way from whatever platform you are on. But this is without further ado, let's get started and welcome in our special guest today, Carl Grossman. Carl, welcome to the Brokerhood, my friend. It's good to see you.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, well, I'm honored to have you on to learn from you. You've been doing franchise consulting a little longer than I have, I believe, right? How long have you been in the game?
Almost 10 years.
A decade now. Very cool, exciting stuff. I'm sure you've learned a lot. I'm sure there's a lot to have that has really maybe shaped or reshaped your business. And as like the culture changes, I'm sure a lot has changed then for you. But I want to unpack all that. But first, tell us a little bit about your story. Where are you coming from? Where are you joining us from today? And let's then unpack a little bit about your story.
Well, I'm in Westchester County, New York, so we're just outside of the Big Bad Apple.
Okay, great.
It's a good place to be because, as we'll talk a little bit later, I have my friend. Of course, my franchise consulting practice is nationwide, so we really make much of a difference where I am.
Yeah, because you run this, you can run this from wherever.
You run this anywhere.
Yeah.
Or you can run anywhere. As you're going to probably hear me say, I can be talking to people. They don't know if I'm in Costco or if I'm sitting in my office. And it all works well.
Yeah.
But I do own a franchise, which is part of what this is all about. Of course, I have a 1-800 water damage franchise. So we do water damage restoration, mold, bio and trauma, fire and smoke. And in the franchise world, we live in territories. So my territories work into Westchester County, New York, Fairfield County, Connecticut, because the two counties are right next to each other. And then we go all the way up north in Connecticut also.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a big territory to cover. It gives me a lot of space and keeps me pretty busy.
Yeah, I would imagine so. How do you I want to unpack what that even looks like. How do you balance both being how long have you been a franchisee?
About 5 years and
about 5 years now. So how have you balanced that with also being a franchise broker?
Well, my standard answer for that, and it's true.
Okay.
So 100% of my time on my consulting practice, 100% of my time on my water damage business, and I relax the rest of the time. And that's true. Yeah. And the nice thing about the franchise consulting business is I can fit it into what else I'm doing. Water damage is emergency services.
Yeah.
So if there's a water loss or something like that, that's not something that we can put off. I've got to go do that. Or I have a partner in the business. He's also a franchise consultant. He's also, a member of BAI. So we can share those things. But the nice part about the franchise consulting part of the world is that I literally can be doing two things at once. I can step out of a job if I need to have an important call. I can balance things pretty well. And I can schedule my time on the consulting side because I have the ability to schedule that most of the time, as opposed to the water damage where you really don't have that ability.
Yeah. Right.
So it works well.
Do you have an idea of, like, on average, like per week, how much, do you have any idea about how much time you split between, like, how much time you actually do spin? Is it 20, 30, 40 hours on one and so many hours on another? Is it every week different? Is it seasonal for you? How does that work?
Every week is different because it really depends upon the workflow for 1-800. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't schedule that because, as I said, if a job comes in, either I go do it or my partner goes, and handle and works with the crew, gets things going. On the franchise side, I have a lot of ability to schedule. The only thing that's more challenging, I like to be on calls with the client and the franchise when we do those calls. So those things I have to balance that schedule, but it works pretty well. I mean, easy. There are lots of times I just step outside and I get into my car and I do the call. I haven't had much trouble scheduling any of that at this point.
Gotcha. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Now, you're pretty franchised through and through. You're a franchisee. You're a franchise broker. Been in it for a decade. What were you doing before this? Have you just always been in franchising, or what were you doing before you became a consultant?
No, as I say, in my formative career, that's what I call it. I was what's called turnaround CEO. So I went into companies in distress.
Okay.
Worked with either investment groups, sometimes private equity, sometimes banks, boards of directors, things like that, and would go into a company in distress and theoretically fix it, turn it around.
Sure.
And then I would move on. So I did that. I started in a family business.
Okay.
In the graphic space, so I knew nothing about franchising. To me, franchising was McDonald's, Burger King, places that I never walked into.
As it is for most people. I think when they think franchising, those are the brand names they think of.
And I think that's that's an educational thing that I talk with a lot of my clients about, because they really don't know the range of options available to them.
Right. Yeah.
So we spend a lot of time on that, and we have a lot of tools and we have a lot of things that we can use to find the fit for somebody, but that is what it comes down to.
So your role as a consultant, at least as what I'm hearing you say, is pretty educational.
In the beginning, it is very educational. Most of the people, I think any of us would say, even when someone thinks they know what they want, the more they learn about it, they either know that's what they want or they know that's what they don't want.
Yeah. And
most of the time, people have an idea, oh, this business sounds great. Let's take water damage and restoration. I work with a lot of people who come to me for that space. When they understand what the business is, it's not for them.
Yeah.
So then we have 8,500 other options.
Right.
And the goal is, how do we go from where we started to find the right fit? Because it's all about fit.
Yeah.
Just simply when we find the right fit, and as I say,
I agree. I agree. That I usually tell the clients that I work with that, to me, far more important than the franchise brand is the franchise fit.
No question.
100%, because we have franchises all around us all the time. You mentioned a couple of really big ones, McDonald's. We have a Burger King. Like some of these ones that they've a couple blocks from me closed down, and I'm not going to suggest that they closed down because no one's ever heard of them. I think it has far more to do with fit for the individual, for the owner, than it does than the brand name. And so that's good to hear how you run your business too.
I always say to the people I work with, I want you to get up in the morning and want to go to work.
Yeah.
And if you do, I mean, I do. I get up in the morning and I want to go to work. I like coming in. I'm sitting in my office right now, in my 1-800 water damage office.
Yep.
Generally, I'm the only person here. Hopefully, I'm the only person here. Because everybody's out.
Right.
And it's a great place to be.
Yeah.
So I enjoy what I'm doing.
I like that.
It's a lot easier to do to do what I have to do.
Yeah, and especially if you're going to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in the next 10 years of your life to this business, you want to make sure it's something you're going to be passionate about regularly, 100%. So tell us then, you were the CEO who used to come into places and build it back up and that kind of bring it from failing to succeeding. That sounds like a pretty nice, good paying, comfortable, sounds like a pretty good gig. So then what was the shift? Why did you shift from that to franchise consulting?
Shift was that after the financial crisis of 2008. We all think the crisis now was the pandemic, but for those before the pandemic, financial crisis of 2008, which was pretty severe, the turnaround market, died completely. Private equities totally stopped rebuilding anything. They just take whatever was in their portfolio. It used to be that they had 25 companies in a portfolio. They might figure one or two are going to work, and they would try to fix them.
Yeah.
After the crisis, the whole turnaround world stopped. So there just wasn't, the amount of volume business that had pre-existed that period. And I got tired of the travel and everything else, and it was, I was on the road 5 days a week, so I was always traveling somewhere. So after that, it just became easier, not easier, but more significant to find a different role. I spent a couple of years with a former associate. We were looking at maybe buying some small businesses.
Yeah.
Very hard to do that. It's tough to get the valuation with somebody. We were not very successful at it, even though we had put some offers in. And he came across a podcast about franchising.
Okay.
And really thought it was an interesting thing. We started looking at it. He decided it wasn't for him. And I decided, hey, something looks pretty interesting. And I think I might be able to do this one.
Yeah.
So I started to learn about it, and it was eye-opening because, as I said, I didn't know anything about franchising.
Yeah.
I mean, I understood the business part of franchising, but
Right.
I didn't understand the personal part of it, the interpersonal part of it.
Yeah.
But all the options that were available, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And I got introduced to BAI, I think, through that podcast.
Okay.
And started to learn about it. And I said, hey, there's lots of things here. Like first, one of the great things, I figured I could do it until I'm 90. If I wanted to, I could do it anywhere. I could, wherever I chose to live, wherever I had to be, I could do it. I could do it no matter what was going on in my life.
Yep.
I could do it full time. I could do it part time. I'll admit, I thought it was a lot easier back then than it turned out to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you always think that at the time that you go into something.
Sure.
But it's been a good career. I've enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, and what I like what you're saying is kind of how we frame it too, is that it's a lifestyle business. It's not one that you're going to make 10, 20, 30 million dollars on in a year, right? This is a lifestyle business. Right. But this is a lifestyle business where, like, for you got into this because you didn't want to travel as much. Great. There's a lot of people who get into this because they want to travel more. And you have that flexibility with this kind of business.
Well, you can build and I call it a consulting practice. I don't market myself as a broker.
Yeah.
So I market myself as a coach, as an advisor, as a consultant.
Okay.
You can build a practice doing anything you want in this business. You can be a generalist, you can be a specialist, you can work full time, you can work part time.
Mm.
You can use social media to generate your leads. You can do conventional means to generate your leads. You can use
Yeah.
referral. You can sign up with all the groups around you,
Yep.
the BNIs and everything else. There's a multitude of avenues that you can
Yeah.
follow.
Yeah. So
And
then
that's
tell us a little bit about what you've chosen then for how you're running your business. Like I love what you're saying. There's so many different avenues you can choose with how you want to run a franchise consulting business. For you, maybe speak into a little bit of what you just said. I want to skip over the fact that you decide intentionally to use the verbiage of franchise coach as opposed to something else like franchise broker or franchise consultant. Talk to me about that. What's the rationale behind that?
rationale behind it is that most of the people, or many of the people that you're talking to, are at a point in their lives where they want to make a change.
Okay.
They're afraid to make the change. They need some guidance. They need somebody to give them some confidence. They need somebody to help them see through the issues and analyze the issues that they have to do in order to make the change that they want
Yeah.
to make. So coaching is a big part of that,
Mm.
in the sense that I don't make any decisions for anybody, but I do spend an awful lot of time learning about them, working with them, understanding what makes them tick and what's going to work for them. What are their goals, and
Yeah.
then we figure out how we're going to accomplish that.
Yeah.
So it's more of a coach, and I use the term coach because I don't want them thinking of me as a salesman ever, because I'm not a
That's
salesman.
good. That's good. Yeah.
So I always say to somebody, I'm not a salesman. There's no sales pitch here. There's no sales pressure. And by the way, you don't actually buy a franchise. You get awarded a franchise,
Yep.
and then you decide if you want to accept the award. And that's a
Mhm.
very fine difference. And we talk about how that's different from actually going out to buying something.
Yeah.
But the most important part of the coaching is that people, I think, are more comfortable opening up to me and talking
Mm.
to me
Yeah.
about their fears or concerns. And not everybody has fears. A lot of people are gung ho, and sometimes you have to bring them
Right.
back a little bit, because a lot of times people fail
Reel
because
them in.
because
Yep.
it goes too fast, right?
Yeah.
So it's really a question of finding the balance,
Yeah.
and then getting somebody through the decision making process of being afraid,
Yeah.
because they want to do it. you know, Economically, you can almost always work that out in
Yeah.
today's world.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the fear of starting your own business, being on your own,
Yep.
failing, and that's what you work through. So it's easy to work through that as a coach, because you can
Mm.
have good conversations with people.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, wow, that's so good. And like there's so much wisdom you're dropping in this that you're running your and notice what I want you all to do who are watching this now or later on, whatever platform you're on, to pick up on, like Carl is thinking through the psychology of the candidates that he's working with, the individuals that he's going to be working with, that he's thinking from they're starting at a place of going through and wanting to think about making a massive transition. And so the kind of language you use to market your own business, I think will instantly, it builds something. It either instantly builds trust with you as the consultant, broker, coach, or it kind of has people go standoffish right away going, I kind of get a weird vibe from this person. I don't really know if this is what I'm looking for, that kind of thing. So what I hear you saying is, you don't choose franchise coach because you think it's going to sell more deals, but you choose franchise coach because you're thinking through the psychology of the person and you care about helping them through this transition. And what they need in this transition is not a broker. They need a coach.
Yeah, I think
And if that allows you to help them, then that's the language you're going with.
I mean, there occasionally I get a businessman who knows exactly what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a good business background. I don't need to be a coach in that thing. We can talk business. We can do all that. That's great. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's rare.
Yeah.
And most of the time you're working with people who have always wanted to do something,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
just didn't either know how to do it. They were, I don't
Yeah.
want to say afraid to do it, but they probably were afraid to do it. So they need some, and I don't want to say that they need somebody holding their hand, because again, I'm not making a decision for them.
Right.
we're working through the decision together,
Mhm.
and it makes a big difference because I've owned businesses. I've done the franchise, consulting, everything else. I own a franchise. That makes it, it's a lot easier for me to work through all of that with somebody when they find out that I actually own a franchise.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it all
Yeah.
helps.
You are someone who you've made that big corporate shift to starting your own business in franchise consulting. You started your own business as a franchisee. So you've got so many levels of experience to be able to to be able to guard and to guide individuals in this transition, which is awesome.
Having gone through the steps, I mean, just think of things like the FDD.
Mhm.
The average
Yeah.
person wants to read an FDD. It's a pretty intimidating document, right?
Right. Well, Carl, can you speak into this for a second? Because there's going to be people watching this who don't have that kind of background. They've never started a franchise, they've never started a business. And so can you speak into, is this still a possibility for them? Should they still consider starting a franchise consulting business if they're not coming in with any of that kind of franchise
Absolutely.
experience?
I mean, I didn't come in with any. I
Oh,
had
that's true. Yep.
no
Yep.
idea.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the people, a lot of my peers are probably the same way. I know there are a few who came in, with a lot more franchising knowledge, but I do not
Mm-hmm.
think franchising knowledge is a prerequisite to be successful in this business. But the prerequisite is to be able to
Yeah.
work with people, get people's trust, get them to
Mm.
talk to you. And again, it all comes down to the conversations that you have with them,
Mm-hmm.
and get them to open up and understand what's important to them.
Yeah.
But to
Yeah.
talk about that, and by the way, it's a lot of it is also where they are in life.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about that a lot when we start
Yeah.
looking at economic investments and time requirements. I mean, are
Mm.
they married? Do they have kids? Are they getting ready to go to college? All the things that are important to understand what they have to deal with in their life so that we can fit this into either making that happen or not
Yeah.
interfering with it.
Yeah. How helpful since you didn't come with any experience, how helpful was joining a network or being a part of BAI? How instrumental was that in helping you getting your business up and running?
You know, my very first deal that I did when I signed on was a large deal. It was a very big deal in Austin, Texas,
Okay.
with a gym where it was a territory deal. We had 11 gyms that were done in this
Wow.
area. The
Wow. Yeah.
business size of the deal, and the business aspects of the deal, I had no issue with. I'd grown up like that. That's what
Yeah.
I was. I had no idea about the franchise requirements, the franchise regulations, anything about squeezing this into the franchise space.
Okay.
BAI was 100% supportive back
Mm.
then. It still is, by the way. It's one of the greater organization.
Yeah.
I reached out to the group. They helped me through this, even though, by the way, BA was not sharing anything because this was not a BAI deal.
Hmm.
It didn't make a difference. I think they wanted me to be successful. They
Yeah.
wanted me, but they educated me. They walked me
Mhm.
through, with all the agreements, all the understanding, all the regulations. That was the very first thing I did. And now
Yeah.
today, obviously, of course I'm comfortable with all of that, but I wasn't back then. So I
Mm.
didn't have somebody like BAI that not
Mhm.
that I asked for help, but that was willing to help.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the organizations might have said, "Hey, there's nothing in it for me.
Mm.
You work on your own."
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't work that way here.
Yeah. Well,
This,
I mean, we really do. We care about each one of our brokers' success, and we want to see them succeed because just like it's similar to a franchise, right? The franchisees are investing a lot into this, and they are trusting the franchisor a great deal. Although we are not a franchise, we are a network still that cares deeply about
right.
each consultant that is building their own business.
Yeah, BI is I guess we call it a business op, but
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
run a lot like a franchise, by the way,
Hmm.
even though it's not.
Some similarities. Yeah.
But I think the most important thing is that everybody, and I'm not just saying it because I'm BAI. I mean, a lot of my success is because I'm BAI. You know, I've had
Yeah.
the training, I've had the support, I've had everything. I use, you know, the network all the time. It's amazing.
Yeah.
When I talk to people, I tell them immediately I'm with BAI and I promote BAI so they understand. I think they appreciate the fact that I'm with a major group. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm an affiliate. I understand. You know,
Yep.
I have the training, I have the support.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I know enormous number of the brokers in BAI. We all have good relationships. I have an enormous amount of respect for all of them.
Yeah.
I think I always say it's the top of the food chain.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't just say that, I actually believe it. So
That's funny.
keep it top of the food chain.
Well, tell me then, let's narrow in on, you recently did just past month, you had 3 deals close, real close together in 1 month, which is really a great success. And that's even just in 1 month. And you're doing this as a current franchisee. So tell me, what has led, do you feel like, what led to this recent win? What happened, and what did it take to get to this place of being able to close 3 at one time?
Well, let's start with it took some luck. Even
Okay.
though I guess we're not supposed to acknowledge that we all have some luck, but one deal, the middle deal was an SBA deal, and I didn't expect the SBA to close it as quickly as they did. So when they closed it and that was done, and I got, I was kind of shocked because I just closed 2 other deals. And
Yeah. Wow.
I said, wow, this is a pretty good month. But
yeah, because SBAs could sometimes take 6 months longer. They can take a long time.
I mean, I wouldn't be waiting for the SBA. I did an SBA loan. They're called 7A Express loans, and as the SBA said, they're anything but express.
Right.
So they can take some time. The larger of the deals here, I think it's a good example of not giving up. I had started with a group. This group was out in California.
Okay.
It actually was 1-800 water damage. Which if I get somebody in this space, I feel pretty comfortable in, obviously. And I thought this deal was going to close. It was a big deal. I thought it was going to close prior to the new year, and it totally fell apart. One day it was just boom.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah.
I mean, and there's nothing I could do at that point. It was just boom. It just fell apart, and I was I was pretty upset about it, obviously.
Rightly so. Yep.
But nose to the grindstone. You don't give up.
Yeah.
And I stayed in touch with the group, and about 6 weeks later, it just popped itself right back up. And I was surprised, but grateful. Glad that I had stayed in touch and that I kept, that I didn't walk away from it after it closed. I'd like to take credit for resurrecting it, but probably don't. I don't probably earn that credit.
Yeah. But timing is such a big part of this business.
Popped back up, and I just said, I'm not letting it get away this time.
Yeah.
And closed.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And by the way, it closed quickly. When something like that happens, when the client walks away, and then comes back, they're coming back with the intent to do it. There's no questions.
Yeah, that's good.
At that point, it was really a question of getting the business deal structured because it was a sizable deal.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Carl, thanks for sharing. I got one more question. What's one piece of advice you would share? Let's kind of wrap up here. as we close, what's one piece of advice you would give to a new or a struggling broker today?
First piece of advice is don't give up. That's number one,
Yeah.
because deals, all of a sudden overnight something happens, and what you thought was a horrible week is a great week. You thought it was a horrible month is a great month.
Yeah.
There's a lot of resources, within BAI.
That's
Use
right.
them. Okay. I mean, I do validation for BAI every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say to the people who are thinking about it, when you get started and you don't know what to do, call me.
Yeah.
And let me work through your first couple of things with you, and you'll get some confidence.
Yeah.
And the other most important point is, if you really want to be successful in this business, I mean, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but it's helping people.
Yeah.
And if you really enjoy, I really enjoy working with people and working them through. These are major decisions. I would say, I
Right.
was part of getting married. This is probably it's even more important than buying a house. You can always sell a house easily. You're investing thousands of dollars in a franchise, and this should be a career for you.
Yep.
So you really have to be a partner with somebody in that.
That's right.
You gotta walk through. I love that part of the business.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would say the most important to somebody who's doing it is just, we all went through hard times in this business. Everybody does. And there are good times and bad times. There can be hopefully more good times than bad times.
Yeah.
Don't give up at all.
Yeah.
And it will come around. And once you get that first deal under your belt, you have a lot of confidence.
Yep. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah, it changes dramatically after that.
Yeah. Don't give up. Yeah. You only fail if you quit. So don't quit. Timing is such a big part of this. And it's so cool to hear you even say, like, that you tell these prospective consultants, hey, call me, let me help you. And you don't even get any benefit from that. You just want to help them. And that's really the kind of individuals we're looking to continue to build this network around. Are individuals like yourself that are wanting to help others grow and succeed and really pursue these dreams and goals of business ownership and changing their life, their family's life, leaving a legacy. I mean, it's a big thing to be a part of.
Yeah, I do say that. I always use it for the BAI, but I also tell all my clients that. And I actually get calls. I mean, I do get calls with business questions and franchise questions. People who are starting out, and how do you handle this? How do you handle that?
Yeah, that's great.
The people you're working with for the buyers, we are great resources for them.
Yep.
Because we understand business, we understand franchising. A lot of us own franchises, not just me. And a lot of people do. So there's a lot of knowledge that can be passed on.
Yep, absolutely. There's a lot of individuals like Carl that you can learn from. If you're watching this, that you can learn from, that you can lean on. You can speak to. Carl, tell us as we wrap up. Tell us where people can find you, how they can get a hold of you. If someone's watching this, they would love to work with you to help find a franchise. How do they do that?
Well, if you by the way, if you live around here and you have a water damage problem,
there you go. There you go.
Have a water damage.
Yeah.
But my franchise moniker practice is Carl, CARL, at qualityfranchising.com. You can email me, and I promise you will hear from me. And whether you ask a question or you just had a thought, I'd love that. That'd be great.
Yeah. That'd be awesome. Yeah, and if you missed that, all you need to do, just send us a message too. Send me a message here, and I can connect you to Carl too if you want to. If you want to learn more about franchise brokering as a whole, all you need to do is just click on the link in the chat, and you can begin kind of your own due diligence at your own pace, whatever you want, and learn more about the business, really what it looks like, and then a little bit about Business Alliance Incorporated as a network too, and how we help you set up your business, some training, certifications, ongoing support, coaching, and a number of the tools and resources that Carl even alluded to, that we have a lot available to you at your disposal, because we really do want to make sure that you succeed in this, just as Carl has found success too. So while they're doing that, Carl, I can't thank you enough, my friend. This has really been an honor, and it's been a joy to learn more about your story and how you run your business too, and just the intentionality you put behind even what you call yourself. I mean, the small things, like how you label yourself in this business is I think that speaks volumes about who you are, how you run your business, and is a big part of how you've found so much success in it. So thanks for your time and being a part of this.
Thank you.
Yeah, good deal. All right, everyone. We'll see you later. Have a good one. Bye.
Because at the end of the day, Business Alliance, it's not about us. You know, this has nothing to do with Brandon Clifford, the CEO, or Gina Johnson, our president. What we really are is we're just a platform. We're here to allow brokers, brands, and suppliers to connect with one another, to elevate their business, to really encourage people to bet on themselves and become a business owner through the business model of franchising.